In a lab that we did, called the lava lamp lab, we experienced Alka-Seltzer mixing with water and oil above the water, which I will be describing later. Now, what is water? Water is a compound molecule called H2O. This is part of the category of is H2O, and H2O is a compounded molecule. Compound molecule is when two or more elements combined to make one substance. Hydrogen being on the periodic table and having two hydrogen atoms to one oxygen atom creates this pattern, and that leads to water. So, okay, H2O is basically water, and it's a compound molecule. Now, compound molecule is when two or more different element atoms combine to form a repeated pattern. Now, this is also a molecule, just a regular molecule, because you have a bunch of, you still have elements. Now, a molecule in a lab that's, what? Okay. Oil on top of water is a heterogeneous mixture, which is called suspension. And you could say that the water is a solvent. And in this case, since the lab involves Alka-Seltzer, the Alka-Seltzer is a solute. And that also could be broken down into a solid. And both the oil and water is a liquid. Now, the Alka-Seltzer mixed in with water creates bubbles. That's because of the fact, have you ever done baking soda mixed in with vinegar? Well, basically, that's what happened with Alka-Seltzer and water. They both activate the same way, due to the fact that sodium bicarbonate is in the Alka-Seltzer. But we can get into that later. This Alka-Seltzer and the water create a solution, and okay, so in the lab we saw that above it was oil and below was the water. Now we put in food dye to make it look blue, so that's why I draw it blue. The bubbles are represented in circles and they're green. Now the big circle is Alka-Seltzer, and that's the solute. There's a solute, solvent, and solution. And all of those create the solution, or I should say the solute, and the solvent creates the solution. Now the solution is the water in Alka-Seltzer, and the solvent is the water. Now, as we can see, this mixture, this water bottle, has a heterogeneous mixture. Now, a heterogeneous mixture can be separated easily, and this is what we see: a suspension. Suspension is basically the oil not mixing in with the water. And there's another type of mixture called homogeneous, which is when let's take an example: salt and water. So they mix together easily, and that creates it's still the same thing, but it has now tastes like salt because the salt is dissolved enough. Now both of oil and the water is a liquid, and the Alka-Seltzer is a solid. Now the gas is the bubbles. You could say, so the food coloring again was blue and black, yeah? Now, okay, so we saw in this lab density, physical change, chemical change, and solubility. Solubility is the process of which one thing can be mixed better than the other. So let's say salt water, again, that's really soluble, but oil and water isn't. Now density affected this because oil is less dense than water, and that created the little change. Now we see a physical change with the water And the physical change is when physical change is when you add the food coloring into the water. It still is the same thing, however, it just looks differently. Now, the chemical change, however, is when you add the Alka-Seltzer. Alka-Seltzer has sodium bicarbonate. Sodium bicarbonate is basically baking soda. Have you ever done, let's say, baking soda with vinegar that creates an explosion? This is basically like that, however on a smaller scale. That is the chemical change. Now, which could be defined as a part of matter. Now, matter is split into another category called mixture, and that has two different subcategories called heterogeneous and homogeneous mixtures. Now, two substances cannot be broken down any further, such as molecules or elements. Elements are just the base of which all living things have. Most of them are not part of life, but they are on Earth. Now, a molecule is basically two or more elements combined, and that isn't really true. You actually have a simple molecule, which is just two of the same element atoms combined, and a compound is two or more. So sometimes you might think it's a compound, but it's actually sometimes a simple. Now, if we go to the actual pure substance, a pure substance is two pieces of matter. Another piece is a mixture, which I will go into detail as well later. Now, a pure substance can be split into two different groups, a molecule and an element. A molecule can be even split into two more groups, a compound and a simple molecule. Now, a compound is what an H2O is. Two or more different elements combined to create one thing. New thing, I should say. Another is the simple molecule, which is just two same atoms, two of the same element atoms combined. So let's go over matter again. So matter is, again, pure, which we discussed already, but there's the mixture side. Heterogeneous and homogeneous. Hetero and homogeneous can go even deeper, but they don't. I didn't do it personally because the fact of the matter is that you can go so deep with homogeneous that it would take up this page. And that's basically all you need to know about this lab. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.